when you see an F Trudeau flag, people don't think about it, but I do. That's my daughter's last name on that flag.
Would you believe it? An interviewer has nearly brought Justin Trudeau to tears. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today's top story here. We've got Justin Trudeau on this podcast. It's a podcast with like 300 subscribers. They got him for a full 40 minutes. We're not going to listen to 40 minutes of Justin Trudeau. And just warning alert, this video does contain Justin Trudeau's voice, which may cause vomiting, diarrhea, and even the Hershey squirts. So let's get into this.
We've been behind the polls for quite a while now. Do we need to do something radical to change things? Yes, we need to make significant changes in how we engage with Canadians over the coming months.
This guy's unbelievable. He's talking about engaging Canadians. He thinks there's some sort of strategy to trick us. It's like, just stop stealing our money, stop spending our money on stupid things, giving it to weird countries, Afghanistan, spending them in universities on stupid studies, having all these scandals where our money is just wasted, put into people's business bank accounts. This is not rocket science. You just have to treat Canadians well with our own money. But to Trudeau, though, it's a simple strategy. Just engage them differently.
You're not resigning. You're staying on as Liberal.
I had a press conference yesterday, I am determined to lead this party into the next election.
If you look at his body language here, he is super tense and tight. The guy is just all wound up. He looks like, shoulders all crammed up. This is someone who's not confident, who's not strong. He's a weak man. He's absolutely deflated, defeated. His own caucus doesn't even support him. Why isn't he stepping down? I can't believe there isn't a mechanism in our country to get rid of this guy. Nobody wants him there.
And I am actually really excited about this fight. I think the opportunity to allow Canadians to make the best possible choice for the future.
Allow Canadians? I'm sorry. Does he get to choose? Is he allowing us to vote now, or is he going to take away that too? It sounds a little dangerous to me, the wording he's using there.
Like you mentioned, the polling numbers, right? They are lower than they've ever been. Mm-hmm. How do you counter that? How do you come out from that?
Well, lower than they've ever been. I reminded all my colleagues who got elected first in 2015 that when they signed up to run, for the distant third place party in the House of Commons, a long way from ever being able to form government in the eyes of every pundit and every pollster out there.
This guy is so high and mighty, riding his horse, riding around like this white knight that has saved this party. He's so narcissistic and arrogant that he refuses to step down, even though he's completely destroyed this party. He's destroyed the country, and the Liberals don't even want him there. But he thinks they owe him. Oh, they owe him big time because they were nothing, and now there's something because of him.
I've gone through a series of crises and challenges, from Trump and his attack on Canadian workers and NAFTA to the pandemic, to the global economic challenges with massive inflation and interest rate hikes, and to the global geopolitical instability of wars and conflicts. Like, people have been knocked around a whole lot. Mm-hmm. People are scared, and it's really easy, as Poilievre has shown, to exploit that fear, to gin up anger and instrumentalize it to try and get people mad at everyone and pointing the blame at whoever they think is responsible. Much harder to propose real solutions, much harder to do the work of actually delivering things that are making a difference. And no matter how much I talk about, 1 million Canadians having access to dental care, no matter how much we point out all the electric vehicles that are rolling off assembly lines in Canada, particularly in Ontario, because of investments that this government specifically made.
Wait a second. Let me get this straight here. So he's bringing up war, inflation, global instability. We got Trump, NAFTA, the pandemic, just terrible things going on, terrible. And how does he solve these problems for us? Dentures and fluoride and electric cars. Does he not realize how stupid that sounds? Those things that he named doesn't solve any of the problems he listed. He's a bumbling buffoon. The worst part is Jagmeet's going to puff his chest out and said, I did the dental. That's me.
I remember when you were first elected, there was that feeling around the hockey rinks where I went that most people were going to vote Justin Trudeau's government. It's a different sense now. At the hockey rink and around the community, you hear people saying, Poilievre's going to get my vote.
Were they saying that? They weren't necessarily saying they were voting for me 6 months before the election, though. Mm-hmm. Like, through the first half of the 2015 election, and I always worry.
Does this guy really think that once it gets closer to the election, 6 months away, and we're getting in the ballpark now, he thinks suddenly when they turn on the juice here, they turn up the gas, they put on the ads, Canadians are like, oh my God, his hair, I have to vote for him, his hair. This guy is such an idiot. We're not stupid. As for people talking around the hockey rink, what's going on? Well, we've got a UFC event here. This was in Edmonton. Warning alert to all the mothers out there that watch my show. I know some of you appreciate it. Don't swear at all on the channel. You're about to hear some F-bombs. I'll give you a second to mute it for a few seconds here. This is an entire stadium chanting F Trudeau. We're beyond the F Trudeau flags at this point. Taking literally, the instructions don't seem like much fun.
Through the entire first half of the 2015 election, we were way behind in the polls. So there wasn't anything automatic or inevitable or even felt on the ground until the last few weeks of the campaign. So Canadians tend to make up their minds later.
So he thinks the last few weeks of the campaign, oh, it'll just switch around. He'll change his hairdo and suddenly everyone's going to be, oh my God, Mr. Prince Charming, Justin Trudeau, let me vote for you. Is this guy living in La La Land?
There's a huge level of frustration that is, a lot of it's pointed at me. A lot of it is directed at me through very clever use of social media and attack ads that we haven't yet responded to.
How are they going to respond to these ads? They're going to point out how Poilievre used to look with his glasses on. Look at him. He looks like a Poindexter. Poilievre has an unlimited amount of ammo against you, Trudeau, because you ruined the country. There's no amount of attack ads they can put up that's going to sway this, period.
But to prejudge the outcome of an election already is something that I don't think people would be too wise in doing.
It's a fair point.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That language is sounding a little bit like a dictator. What's the plan here, Justin? You going to impose the War Measures Act and send us to war and take away our ability to vote? What is he babbling about here? I don't like the tone he's taking in this.
I don't think people would be too wise in doing.
It's now pretty common that we see bumper stickers and flags that say F Trudeau. I don't ever remember seeing an F Harper flag or an F Chrétien flag. This to me isn't politics. This is personal. You must have seen them. It has to bother you.
I wouldn't have been surprised if he said, I thought they were attracted to me. Something to note here, if you look at his arms, his hands, they're clasped like this. He's like so tense at that question. The F Trudeau flags really seems to be the bane of his existence. He really doesn't like it. It really looks like it's the top thing that's bothering the man.
My first thought, and you pointed out well, what has happened over the past years that has brought people to that place of that much anger? Canadian politics and Canadians in general used to be a little more civil around disagreements like that. One of the things we've seen with the phenomenon of amplification of extremist right-wing voices, of misinformation, disinformation online.
It's not extremist right-wing voices, Trudeau. This is the everyday person who can't afford the basics in life. How many people are living on the street, Trudeau? How many people living in their RV? This guy's so delusional if he thinks it's far right, right-wing extremists.
We've seen is the amplification of that, the taking up space of more and more of that, the organizing, so you get 3 people with flags outside any little community event I do, that makes it much more visible. But I don't think Canadians have actually changed for the most part. If someone's out there in the rain waving an F Trudeau flag, people are going to say, boy, the Prime Minister must have done really something terrible to upset that person, because we're good people. We sort of say, okay, you know, there must be a reason for you to do that.
It seems un-Canadian.
It seems un-Canadian to not give people the benefit of the doubt.
This guy's a delusional narcissist. He thinks he isn't the problem. He thinks everyone else is the problem. The world's the problem. Canadians are the problem. It's Pierre Poilievre. It's everyone except for him.
The problem is right now that there's a silent majority that is a little bit silent and maybe wondering whether it's actually a minority. And you got a lot of good, thoughtful people saying, I don't have anything personal against the leader, but everyone seems to hate him because I see all these flags, and therefore, he must be on his way out, or he must be unpopular. And it's sort of a self-feeding, particularly in both the media cycles and specifically the social media cycles that we're in, that amplifies itself.
What about when your kids see it? Do you talk to them about it?
When you see an F Trudeau flag, people don't think about it, but I do. That's my daughter's last name on that flag. That's the last name that my two sons will carry throughout their lives.
Look at this guy. He's about to well up. He's about to cry on this podcast because his kids are seeing F Trudeau flags. Just retire, dude. This guy is such a bad parent. He's so egotistical and narcissistic. He can't retire and just raise his kids. You're stinking rich. You were born into wealth. You've been using us and fleecing us for extra wealth, 10xing your net worth. Just step down, man.
It's hard for me to think about, how to, make them understand that it's all part of the sacrifice and service that we're choosing to do, that the good things we're doing that is making this world a better place, even if it means I'm skipping their basketball games or not there at the dance recitals or whatever, that it does matter, and that yes, there are a few people.
This poopy pants loser is complaining about not going to soccer games or recitals. Dude, you have enough money. You could retire today and just raise your kids, and that's it. This guy is a power-hungry schmuck. Captain Schmuck. He is steering our ship straight into the iceberg.
People who are very angry out there, but they don't represent everyone. I mean, I was walking into a restaurant here in the GTA a few weeks ago, and some guy in the front of a pickup truck, shouted out a big F Trudeau. And it was a nice sunny day, and I wandered over and I said, "Hello, sir, how you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, no, I don't want to talk to you. Can I just know why you're so upset at me?" He goes, "You impose vaccines on us and you're trying to poison us." I say, okay.
Does this guy not understand that people lost their loved ones during that because he forced these mandates on people? People lost their jobs, nurses, truck drivers, you name it. People lost their homes. People lost their pets. People lost everything during that because of how he handled that. He doesn't seem to care about that at all. He knows it. He's got people telling him what's going on.
There's a real anger in a very specific segment of the population around what was a difficult time for all of us. Convinced that I've tried to inject microchips into him through an experimental vaccine. Nothing.
Dude, it's not microchip injecting. Come on. What a load of crap.
Nothing I'm going to be able to say to him is going to convince him that actually I didn't do that or didn't want to do that. What was interesting in that dynamic was the guy beside him in the truck. I sort of said, "How are you doing, sir?" He goes, "Could I get a picture?" And he took a picture with me.
He sits here and barks like a seal, and this obviously made up phony baloney story that didn't happen. There was no guy sitting next to him that wanted to take a picture with him. Justin Trudeau's the biggest narcissist ever.
And it was, so I'm going to try and engage and try to understand. And there are people that can't be reached right now. We all have family members. I've got a half brother who's in a pretty bad place since the pandemic. Love him, still do, always will, but can't have real conversations with him based on facts and reality, and that's a significant or a real proportion of our communities, of our families, of our.
This guy just called his brother his half brother. I've got someone close to me who has a half sister who told me there's no way she would ever call her sister her half sister. Only Justin Trudeau would do this. I've got two siblings, step siblings. I call them my brother and my sister. I don't call them my stepsister or my stepbrother, let alone a half brother, which is quite literally his blood brother. Kyle Kemper, he clearly has this arrogance that Kyle uses the name Kemper versus Trudeau. I don't know if there's some sort of inheritance thing there, thing with money. They share the same mother, but Trudeau is so arrogant. He thinks he's so much better than Kyle. It says a lot about the man. It's really low, the fact that he's calling him his half brother and he can't talk to him like he's some sort of lowlife.
The thing that I am most reassured by is the vast majority of people, even as they are aware and understanding of the people who feel that way don't necessarily want that kind of thinking to determine what the future of the country is going to look like. And
what exactly is that kind of thinking, Trudeau? Or let me guess, he's going to tell us how to think. Or maybe he's just going to take away our right to vote because he can think for us, right? This guy's going down a slippery path, a path I don't like. It's seeming quite sinister.
Axe the tax, for example, which everyone says, which is basically a call to abandon any climate action right now.
Climate action, the thing you guys don't even measure. Axe the tax is a call to helping the people sleeping in their RVs at rest stops, people who have lost their dignity, who have lost their soul in what Justin Trudeau has done to our country. The whole 8 out of 10 garbage he spews, they don't even track the stats on that stuff. He has the audacity to keep saying this stuff, to keep pushing this garbage, which is complete bullcrap.
What are you going to do about the Canada carbon rebate that actually puts more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10?
No, Trudeau, we're not going down that 8 out of 10 garbage. I'm not playing that today.
Canada being a place that's leaning into environmental responsibility. So you've got an easy slogan that sounds great, but when you actually look at the numbers or you look at the consequences of it, and
the consequences of it? Dude, there's more tent cities than this country's ever seen, period. I dare you to go down to a tent encampment, Trudeau, and talk to people about these affordability measures. Don't think you're going to get that positive response. You're probably going to see one of those F Trudeau flags, except for the fact those people can't even afford one of those.
Sorry, go ahead.
I got to know, back to the West Wing. Yes. Favorite character?
I very much am a Josh Lyman guy.
I wrote it like Josh.
There you go. Yeah.
Called it.
I was actually visiting the set of Handmaid's Tale in around TIFF a few weeks ago in Toronto, and Bradley Whitford's on the latest season, and I was so excited about meeting him, but he wasn't on set that day, so I didn't get to see him. So that was a frustration for me.
Oh, that's such a devastating moment for Trudeau. Doesn't get to see his favorite actor. How will he survive? How will he go on? But don't worry, he's a fighter. He's gonna fight through these tough times. Trudeau, the guy's a complete clown.
What are you watching right now?
I just finished Chaos on Netflix.
The irony.
What else have I been watching? I just finished Nobody Wants This.
Trudeau, nobody wants you, buddy. Go home.
Targets, but they're still going to be much higher than they were a few years ago.
Pandemic really, really disrupted everything. We came out of the pandemic, as our economy got roaring again, we brought in a lot of temporary foreign workers. Growth in our population, which was record growth over the past few years, outpaced our community's ability to support it.
Trudeau quite literally had public servants sending him information saying your immigration levels are way too high, it's going to destroy Canada. He didn't listen to it. It's unbelievable someone so nasty can be running our government, and there's no way to get rid of this guy. This has to be fixed.
We had to do what the provinces weren't doing, which is actually do the homework around making sure that there were places for these international students to live.
We need to be able to have a referendum to get rid of a bad prime minister like Trudeau.
Immigration system. We're putting a pause on population growth for the next couple of years.
A pause on population growth? You're bringing in nearly 400,000, 395,000 immigrants, plus all the temporary foreign students and workers. How is that a pause when you're only building 250,000 houses a year? This is basic math.
The lack of affordable housing. And it feels like it's a problem that almost kind of snuck up on us. And certainly your government has some initiatives for young Canadians. But should more have been done earlier? All of us around this table have kids that want to save up to buy a house, and for them right now, it almost seems like the impossible dream. What do you say to them?
Well, first of all, Scott, you're absolutely right that for young people today, it's not just that it's hard to save up for it's now impossible. Right. It's now almost impossible.
Yeah.
This guy's saying it's impossible to save up for a house. This is his legacy. Housing was pretty cheap. It was fair priced in a lot of cities. Vancouver and Toronto, you had to save up some more, but basically across Canada, it was really cheap. This guy's admitting it's impossible to get a house now with him as prime minister.
2017, we had made a promise in 2015 to get back into the business of housing. 2017, we launched a massive national housing strategy. And it was underway. Millions of families got into homes because of what we're doing. Pandemic hit.
Millions, folks. Millions. Let's do some basic math. 250,000 houses built per year, not by the government, but by builders of Canada. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. That's 4 years or 1 million homes. Not built by the government, just by builders. Yet millions of people got into homes. If Justin Trudeau's moving his lips, he's lying.
We're launching the most aggressive home building strategy in this country, whether it's putting money in the pockets of municipalities so they can cut red tape, increase densification, be more ambitious.
Except it hasn't done that. It hasn't reduced the red tape. It hasn't increased the speed of builders building homes. It's done the opposite.
It's 2015, and after Stephen Harper chose to try because he failed at it, but balance the budget on the backs of less investments in infrastructure and nickel and diming our veterans.
This guy's unbelievable for attacking Harper's record. Are you kidding me? Life was good under Harper. Justin Trudeau has quite literally spent more than all other prime ministers combined. And he has the audacity to talk about Stephen Harper's record. Housing was cheap, food was cheap, clothes were cheap. Whether you're a liberal or conservative, green, NDP, whatever, it doesn't matter. The facts are the facts. Life was a heck of a lot cheaper.
Last summer, Prime Minister, you tweeted to Taylor Swift when she announced that her Eras tour would not include any Canadian stops. Then a month later, she adds 6 Toronto dates. How much did you have to do with that? Did you talk to Taylor Swift? What was your influence?
Listen, I know how many Canadians are impassioned Swifties, and
these are the hard-hitting topics Justin Trudeau likes, talking about Swifties and Taylor Swift. Who cares? Did they name a street after her in Toronto? Is this ridiculous? We've got real problems in our country, and this is what he's spending his time on.
I'm happy to have played a small role in that.
As you know, there's a pretty big election coming up south of the border of the United States. It's a massive election, a lot of things at stake. We have to ask, are you rooting for somebody?
We did go through 4 years of Donald Trump before. His attack on steel workers, on aluminum workers, on Canadian farmers is well documented.
All right. Finally, Prime Minister, life after politics. Have you given any thought to what that looks like and what you might want to pursue regardless of when it happens?
So first off, you can see him picking at his eye. He was very uncomfortable with that question. He knows that's coming soon, desperately trying to push this back.
I'm not really thinking about what I might do afterwards, except spend a lot more time with my kids.
It's clear Captain Schmuck lives on another planet, one where he's the king, the sultan, and everyone bows to him. I really don't like his wording there and how we should be thinking in this country. This guy wants to tell us how we should be doing everything, how he should be spending our money, how he wants to rule us for the next 20 years. The only job Trudeau's qualified for is diaper tester. Spanky gets diaper rash every time he gets a question asked about him stepping down. This is a guy who's got like a third of his caucus who wants him to step down, and he won't do it. We really need new laws in Canada that allow Canadians to have a referendum. It bypasses all politicians. If the leader is just terrible like we have now, we can get rid of him. This really needs to go to the top of the to-do list here in Canada.